Breakfast with Steve and Ellie. Good morning to you on this Eurovision special day.
And let's take a look at today's front pages for you now. And We Three Kings is the front page of the Telegraph, almost sang it there, with a gorgeous portrait of the King, the Prince of Wales and Prince George.
Yeah, it's an interesting caption on our next page, which is the Express. One day, my son and grandson, all this will be yours. No, I don't believe he ever said that.
No, I don't. Probably.
To be fair,
Yeah.
but, you know.
It is a Lion King quote, yes.
Is it?
That's a good point, yes. I can't remember the name of the dad in Lion King. Mufasa, thank you very much for being told in our ear. With Simba, and he said, this will be, one day, son, this will all be yours. They're looking out at the kingdom.
Oh, it's a bit tragic if we have to quote the Lion King, a cartoon over a picture of our king.
Oh, our royal family, yes, not so good.
What's the world come to?
And this is the, what paper is this now?
Oh, it's the Mirror.
This is the Mirror. The Mirror has an exclusive about Philip Schofield, saying Phil is fighting for his job. Apparently there's a rift with Holly Willoughby.
It's interesting because that's an exclusive for the Mirror, but it's also an exclusive for the Sun.
Oh.
So there you go.
It's not very exclusive.
How they work this out? Philip Schofield confronted Holly Willoughby in a tense phone call shortly after their rift was made public. How do they know that?
According to The Sun, he's very upset.
Oh,
So maybe that's their exclusive line. We don't know.
Oh, dear me.
It's going to be one to watch, I think, that one. Oh, and Holly
shame.
Willoughby joined this morning in 2009, by the way.
Oh, 2009.
Yeah.
Right.
So
You're 14 years.
14 years. Still a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, I won't be working with you in 14 years.
You've bidded me off.
I'll be retired, hopefully.
Oh, will
by
you?
then. Yeah.
Don't leave me.
I will. I'll be retired by then.
Someone just said in our ear in the gallery, you can be looking after my kids.
Not in a
Do the
million
childcare.
years. Not with your squawking brood that you'll have. No.
Oh,
No, thank you. I shall be swanning off to the Caribbean or the
Caribbean.
south of France or something
I
like
don't
that.
blame you. You deserve it.
Yeah.
Anyway, a long time before any of that.
Yeah, sadly. Let's go through the papers then with Ella Whelan and Andy Jones. Morning, you two.
Morning.
What's this in the Times about star statues, Andy?
Absolutely. Let's play a historical quiz. Let's see if we can save the government some money. So,
Oh, yeah.
historical quiz, ladies and gentlemen at home. Which Billy Bremner, any links to slavery? Leeds United footballer, legend Billy Bremner, any links to slavery?
Well, you wouldn't think
Gonna
so.
say no.
Right, okay, good. Comedian Tony Hancock, Hancock's Half Hour. Any links, historical or otherwise, to slavery?
Well, I don't know.
Also no.
No, congratulations, you just saved the government 100 grand.
Oh,
so,
right.
So various councils across the country have done deep and wide examinations of statues and public memorials to see if they've got any relationship to slavery or colonialism, whatever that means, broadly speaking. And Leeds Council have had to verify that Billy Bremner, who was born long after slavery was ever made illegal, has no links to slavery. Tony Hancock has no links to slavery, or was actually told at a low risk of slavery because he did apparently make some joke about it in, I don't know, 1960, 1950 something. Samuel Pepys, the famous diarist, has some links to slavery because he was a shareholder in a slave trading group, and that should be a footnote against his name. And so there's been this huge commission across the UK, various different councils working independently and together. They've spent £100,000 in total looking at various different statues, different memorials to say slavery, yes or no.
What a waste of money.
It is a waste of money, particularly as we've just demonstrated here, very adeptly, finger on the pulse you two, that Billy Bremner, Leeds United footballer, who died in 1997, 96, 1999 statue this was put together, has no links to slavery.
Right.
And obviously Billy Bremner's raised off as a committed anti-racist who, it says here, went out of his way to protect Leeds United players. You'd think Leeds Council might be on top of this a little bit more?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? You'd think so. They'd be spending a fortune looking at Eric Morecambe next.
Well, there's lots of stories across the press about how how potholes and things aren't being filled in around the company and around the country and different things like that. And £100,000 in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot of money, but if you're at one of these councils, your potholes aren't being filmed in, CCTV being removed or damaged and not replaced, etc., etc. You think is the thing better?
It'd fill a few potholes, and they're a problem right across the country at the minute. absolutely dreadful. I don't know what's going on with the roads. They're just all falling apart.
The phantom pothole filler-upper in Cornwall.
No.
A pothole was blighting Bodmin, and a phantom individual that the council are desperate to trace has filled in a pothole of their own steam. They arrived on a bank holiday weekend when there was nobody there,
and just
filled it in and ran off. And now the council have responded by closing the road again to examine why the pothole.
Oh, what did they want to do? Arrest him or something for doing something on a public highway?
Regarding the pothole,
Probably.
the council are now looking into it.
Get out.
There were
Get out.
those terrible aerial shots during the coronation of all the potholes in Westminster filled in with sand. You think, oh God, you could have at least come around and overnight quickly whipped up a bit of tarmac and done it properly.
Oh, see, I read that was also
For the
grates.
horses.
Yes, and grates and anything that could disrupt their hooves or cause any damage to their hooves, and not just potholes. But yes, some of them were, of course, potholes.
Now the PM we're told, focusing on science, Emma, according to the Times. That's not going down well with Sir James Dyson.
Yeah, this is quite interesting. So James Dyson has written a little letter into the Times, and it's made it to the front pages because it's quite scathing in that he's basically claiming that big business in the realm of science and tech is going to take their business elsewhere, because despite the government planning and pledging £370 million of investment in the industry, he says that things like rocketing corporation tax, rules around damaging legislation on working from home, and I think that really is upsetting him, he says, is that the government is now planning to reduce the non-compete clause in a contract, which means that previously you would sign a contract that meant that you couldn't hop to another job if you were in a particular industry, which Dyson is arguing allows people to, they get ahead of the game in terms of intellectual property, and the kind of tech that they are privy to is what nobody else has seen. And so you have to have expert engineers stay in the same job doing the same thing for X number of years in order to make it work. And the government is getting rid of that. For what reason, I'm not sure. But anyway, he's basically completely attacking the government. He also, quite interestingly, details the fact that he owns thousands of acres of farmland, and he wrote to Therese Coffey to say, I want to talk about food security. I suppose he was thinking, I have some ideas, being James Dyson. And there was no reply for months and months, and he tried to chase it. And then eventually he got a note from her aide saying, this is our policy on food security. So it's not a good look for that. We were talking in our previous round of paper reviews about the government sort of imploding and not helping itself. And it seems to me if someone like James Dyson is looking, and business leaders are saying, we've got some ideas, can you give us the space and the room to do something about it, and you're not biting their hand off, then that seems to be something wrong.
Would that not be seen as preferential treatment in the wake of all the COVID stuff? And it was saying if you had an in with the government, you could do something. Are they not pushing back against that?
Well, I think. Sorry.
What I'd say, Sir James Dyson was a big supporter of Brexit and a big supporter of this government, broadly speaking, when it originally came in. I know we've had variations of this government since then. And him being the owner of 33,000 acres of farmland and being upset that he didn't get a letter back from Therese Coffey after 6 months. It appears to be one of a fairly useful reason why he's now upset with the government. But Rishi Sunak said he was going to be big on science and innovation. Sir James Dyson said that's rubbish. Lots of the tourism industry, big hotels, etc., attacking Rishi Sunak for the tourist tax. Lots of business leaders, etc., also attacking Rishi Sunak. There's a big fallout with Microsoft, I think, this week, 2 weeks, complaining that they were stopped from buying a company by the government for monopolies and mergers, commissions, etc., or something. And so, Conservative government says it's big on business, science, stopping inflation, investment. And actually, when you look at it, it's sort of all of these bigwigs are basically saying, you don't know what you're doing. Change course.
Yeah. Talking of the science stuff, there's a story in the Times about AI, Andy. Why is it that AI is suddenly a big talking point? The paper's just decided that they want to talk about it, so they're grasping it. It's like AI all the time.
It's the big moral panic, but it's the big moral panic that we can see and affecting us right away. And I tell you, they're not.
But it's not.
Well, it is.
Well, it isn't, because AI, the concerns about AI, right, let me bleat on. The concerns about AI is if you have something which is actually artificially intelligent, that it will learn, because it's a machine, much, much faster than humans. And so within a very short period of time, they will be more intelligent than humans, and that's the concern. And that's a genuine concern. But nothing is artificially intelligent at the moment. Stuff that we have that we call AI is just responding to programming. So it's not, AI doesn't exist at the minute.
Yeah, it isn't creating any new knowledge, but what it is doing is farming everything that's ever been committed to text or the internet and producing it in easy, quicker form than any human being could ever manage. And so it is going to swap and change jobs. And everybody from this gentleman in the Times who's talking today, Professor Stuart Russell, who is one of the leading bigwigs on this, and everyone from Elon Musk to Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak are basically saying, look, governments need to not give this a light touch. This is going to replace jobs. This is going to replace, it could be AI TV presenters, AI journalists, we could all be swapped. And also we need to look at things like fraud, because let's face it, fraud is absolutely through the roof at the moment. We can't get hold of online fraud properly. And the idea of somebody being able to sort of replicate your voice, whole personality, anything you've committed to the internet, any knowledge that you'd have to have for that job, it's quite scary, especially when we think about working from home. You know, if you're the boss of a company, or even if you're an underling at a company, how are you going to know that the person you're speaking to is real if you're speaking to them on a screen? I mean, it could just be an imagination of everything that person's done previously.
Yeah, but that's years and years
away. I don't know. We thought the smartphone was years and years away, and then suddenly it was in your hand.
Oh, I don't know.
I think some of the problems with like ChatGPT bots and things like that is much less kind of sci-fi. The robots are going to take over, and much more kind of mundane. Like lots of teachers that I know are having real, genuine problems with the fact that lots of the essays they're receiving from their students are obviously created by ChatGPT, and lots of students are admitting to the fact that they, get them. They say to the bot, "Do this amount of reading and pull me some quotes." But the solution isn't, it's not rocket science. You just get them to do it in the classroom or sit exams or, have some discipline. I'm much more positive about AI actually, because I think there are lots of jobs that can be, lots of the kind of grunt work of particularly admin and things like that, if that can be wiped away with robots to be able to do that, if it can come up with different formulas or all the rest of it, that's great. And then human beings can spend their time doing the things that we're best at, which is, no matter how much you plug into a ChatGPT, it's never going to be able to write a novel like you. It's not going to be able to create a film, or at least it can't at the moment. I think we should be much more positive about why humans are different and why we can do things that robots will never be able to do, rather than engaging in the kind of the moral panic. Because, like you say, they're at the moment at least, they're still a tool that we use, and so they're only as good as bad as what we put into them.
But also, we're not going to have any time to be reading novels anyway when we're all working in a salt mine because AI's taken all of our jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be absolutely clear on this. Look,
been watching Colony a bit too much.
China are against it. Elon Musk is against it. Apple are against it. I mean, we need to have a serious conversation about where it may lead to, rather than waiting for the worst to happen and then trying to deal with it.
Oh well, look forward to Apple scrapping Siri then.
Yes.
There you go. Good luck with that. Thank you both, Andy, Ella. We'll catch up with you in the next
Thank you very much.